Hey guys, welcome back. Trying something a little different here. I'm trying to get a couple different camera angles to make this a little more interesting for you. We're going to be working on the neck of the base today because everything is still curing. I've got the base body and everything sitting in a safe location, and I've kept everything the same since we last talked. I'm going to let it cure for another week before we polish and wax everything and then start reassembling it. So hopefully next week we're going to start putting everything back together, and then after that it'll be the setup and sound samples. But for now, I did know that I needed to do a little work on the neck, and I have procured myself a few different tools. Number one, even though it is my only base at the moment, I don't know if I'm going to have more or not, but I want to make sure I set it up right. So I did get myself a straight edge for a 34-inch and a 35-inch scale base. I also did get myself a Fret Guru fret file. I did get a leveling tool from Temu, which is about what you would expect out of Temu, so I'm kind of hoping that I don't need to level these frets, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna take you into the overhead camera and we'll pick things up there. All right, so first things first, I did condition this a little bit off camera, just because a couple of friends and other people that I've talked to have found that sometimes when you do condition what was a really dry fretboard, also because I had the tape on it for finishing it, sometimes frets will move a little bit. So we're going to take my Fret Guru rocker and just kind of double check that there's nothing really out of whack. If it's just barely noticeable, I'm not going to do too much with it. The only problem I'm seeing here is these first few frets. This is not big enough. Let me see if I've got, yeah, okay, this one barely covers the first couple frets, so we'll use that. Thankfully, nothing out of whack so far. Um, Sorry, the other thing I did do, I did test this off camera, but I didn't show you guys. This is a 34-inch scale base, and I did look at it in the playing position. It is dead flat, so I don't have to make any adjustments. I did have everything out that I needed to do so. So we're going to continue checking those frets. Sorry to do that out of order on you. I think then I can switch over to the Fret Guru. So far, everything is dead flat, which is great. And I will probably speed through a little bit of a rock there, but it's barely noticeable. Um, we'll see. If it's something, if that's the only one that's right above the fifth fret, so it's actually the fifth fret. If that's the only one and it does cause a problem, we will see what we have to do, whether it's a full level just for one fret. I'm kind of thinking, based on what I've seen from my friends, that we should be able to maybe just spot level that. Got a little something. No rocking. I think I had some schmutz on it because it's fine now. All right, let's switch to. Oh, that one is a little high. Doesn't feel too awful. It's that one. Let's. I don't have anything to mark it, so we're just going to note that's right above one of the last two frets. All right, that's not too bad. There was just a couple. I am just going to very lightly tap this with a soft hammer, not metal. I am going to get myself one of those fret tools to place on top of the frets and hit with a hammer instead. So I think that's the one. We'll just double check it again. Oh, I see what I did. That's not high at all. So I had this a little short. It was hanging off the fret edge. So let me do that with the longer edge again. All right, that's a good lesson to double check and thankfully catch yourself in a mistake before you take this to anything. Let's put that away. So I really only have the one fret that was just negligibly rocking, and I don't think I'm going to start doing anything with that unless when we set it up, we find out that there's a problem in this area of the neck with fret buzz. And then we'll resort to that if we have to. The next thing I want to do, just while I have everything, we're just going to set that down there because it's not going back in my holder, is take my radius gauges and see if I can tell what kind of radius this neck has on it, just for my own information, because with it being a non-branded Glari kit from Temu, it was really, really short on information. So it doesn't feel very large. So let's start with 12. Let's start with 12. It feels fairly flat, but I don't think. I'm gonna kind of take it and look down. Let's set a camera shot where you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. What we're gonna do here is I'm gonna take my gauge. We're gonna look down the neck a little bit and see. Okay, 12's got a little bit of air under it. So let's go to 14. That's looking more like it. Yeah, I'm not seeing light under there. I wish I could have 14 different camera angles to show you guys what I'm looking at. But I'm not seeing any light under it now, so I believe we are looking at a 14-inch radius on this neck. I'll have to look that up and see if anybody's documented any of this stuff. We'll put those back in order later. If anybody's documented Glari jazz basses and see if we have any statistics to compare to. If we do, I'll put something up on the screen for us. For right now, let's go back to the overhead. We checked the frets, we rocked the frets. Everything seems okay. The two things that were going on with this neck when I first had it, when I would run my hand up and down the neck like this, I noticed it was really, really sharp. One happy accident of me overdoing it with the stain where I had gotten gray paint on the side, I decided that we were going to try and alleviate that at the same time as removing some of the gray stain that was on the edge. And I used a little coarser sandpaper on the side to get that down. Then I did condition it and get it looking dark again. But that also did a good job of knocking off most of the sharpness of the frets. However, the corners were still feeling, I could still feel it. So if you look at the frets there, and to be sure, just to get myself familiar with the Fret Guru file, I did do a couple here and I can feel the difference. I don't know if it's visible, but when I get down here, I can feel those sharp corners. So what I'm going to do, and you don't have to use this particular file. I had been looking at this one. Ted over at Ted Talks Guitars has one of these. And I also noticed it when I had bought the Fret Guru XT, or won the Fret Guru XT and looked at their website rather. So this file has files on two sides, but the other sides are flat. So the filing that you're hitting is hitting the edge of the fret itself, but the flat side is on the fretboard. Some people would tape up something. This is mine, and it is a bass. I don't want to put tape back on it because I actually don't have too much tape left. That's something I'm going to have to invest in. But basically, you want the filing edge on the edge here, and my friends that I watched and tried to learn this from can tell me if I'm doing this wrong, but you just round it around the edge, and you just be careful to try and not get any tooling marks on the fretboard itself. So I did that one again. I haven't done the other side of them going back the other way, so I'm going to start right here because that's where I left off when I was just testing what I was doing with this fret. On the subject of doing fretwork like this, there are literally hundreds of videos on how to do this type of work online. I encourage you to go out and find somebody like I did to learn from. It's even better if you can find somebody that you trust and their work to kind of follow their technique a little bit. And Ted, where I did see this file as well, is one of those guys. And I know firsthand because I have a guitar with a neck that he worked on. Ted does excellent work on necks, so I trust his opinion. So let me just go. I'm going to just start with 3 passes because I don't want to overdo it. I just want to get, yeah, that's feeling nice and smooth now as opposed to sharp. So we're just going to keep on doing that down the neck. And I will probably speed up most of this because this is going to take a little bit of time to get this set for you guys. And I don't want this to be a half-hour video of watching me do this over and over again. I will keep talking because if anything interesting happens, I will, of course, stop the speed up and bring you guys back in so that we can discuss what I did or what went wrong. Just to put a timestamp on the video today, it is Saturday. Today was my company picnic that my wife and I attended. My company was celebrating 55 years since its founding, which is cool. Even cooler, I have worked there for 31 of those 55 years. It'll be 32 in the December. And it's been a good ride. We had lots of free food and beverages and some entertaining music. They had a calypso band, steel drum band, which is kind of cool. That's something I've never even tried and a talent in its own right. So, all right. So we're about halfway down the neck. I am probably going to speed it up from here, guys. And I'm going to go back up that side, then I'm going to flip it around and do the other, but you'll see that. I'm just going to keep feeling as I go along the way. All right, guys, we are done with that side, and I do have to say that feels much better. I am going to do something that I saw from friends, which is just take a brush to my file to get anything off of it that was on there before I do that. You may notice that I still have all the towels and paper down from when I was staining the guitar, and that's by design because I'm going to be getting possible little metal files, probably not a whole ton from what I'm doing, because I'm not taking a whole bunch off, but I didn't want to have to get it off my work mat, off my table. So this is going to be going away after we're done here, and a new piece is going to be going up because we're going to be doing some polishing compound and wax on it. So I don't want to get that on my work mat either. All right, here we go for the other side. We're going to go up and down the other side as well. I will see you guys in a minute, and I think we're probably going to pull out the lizard spit and just polish these frets just a little bit because after all the tape residue and everything that was on it, I want to do that. Actually, you know what? Instead of the lizard spit, I think I'm going to use the Diodario polishing pads because these are pretty shiny. I just want to get any schmutz off of them and just give them a little extra polish without getting all the lizard spit on there. I've got them, so I may as well use them. All right, here we go, guys. One more time. Well, all right, guys. We have nice, smooth frets. I did get a couple of tooling marks in there. But you know what? It's not bad. It's just little scratches. I think I am going to lemon oil this once more after we go over it with the fret polishing cloths. So let me brush this off, put some stuff away, and we will get to work on polishing frets. See you in just a second. All right, here we are. I have the Daddario fret polishing system. I have a sheet that I did use when I did that test. This is obviously the coarse side, this is the soft side, and I do have a couple of fret guards. I'm just going to use this because these aren't really bad, which would require like the lizard spit or using my Dremel and actual metal polish. But I am still going to use the fret guards just to make sure that I'm not hitting the wood with this coarse stuff. So we will just go over these really quick. Shouldn't come up with too much. A little bit tarnished. Might be tape residue from when I had it taped up. I think just to put another timestamp on this Saturday morning, I did watch Ted's video, the second part of him working on his stretch kit, and all the problems he was having getting that thing to take stain. Between that and Timmy 70, I'll link Ted and Timmy's channels in the description. You can see what's going on with them. Timmy was working on a two-star toe-star kit as well, an LP with the flame maple top, and he really wanted to stain it so you could see that flame maple. Well, it seems like both kits, Ted's Stritch and this Toe Star, may have gone way overboard with sealers, and they are having a devil of a time getting it to take stain at all, even after sanding. So I hope they figure that out. I'm going to be following those videos just because I'm curious if I ever run across a kit that has that too. I can't think of anything that you would do to fix that other than even more aggressive sanding. But in the case of Timmy's, that veneer isn't all that thick. And if you sand too much, well, then the flame maple's gone anyways. So I don't know if he's going to end up painting it. I wish you all the luck in the world, Timmy. All right, I am going to take you guys out till we get to the end of the neck here. Again, I'll speed it up just because this can't be too entertaining and this is more for me. And then we'll come back, I'll oil the fretboard and we'll talk just a little bit before we call it a day. And then we'll be back next week with one of the second to last, I hope, videos for the bass before we can actually start setting it up and playing on it, which is something I'm looking forward to because I would like to start creating some more music. All right, see you in a second, guys. All right, guys, you can see a little bit. We did get little stuff off. I'm assuming that's just schmutz from shipping tape. There we got a little bit of spot I missed here. You can see a little bit of, there we go. Everything's looking nice and shiny now, feeling nice and smooth. So all we're going to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of Dunlop on here, mainly just to wet this down so I can wipe it down and pick up anything that I may have put on between the fret polishing and the fret end work and just get it off the neck. And then we're going to set it aside and then I'll do some final thoughts here. So yeah, this has been a good day. Tomorrow we're going to be visiting a friend's house because our former hometown before we moved here has their annual Lions Days weekend carnival fireworks parade. We're going over for the parade because that's always been a tradition of ours to hang out with our friend from the time that we were from the time that our kids were little. So it's going to be a nice day, nice parade, and then I'll be home in time just to relax a little bit before we gotta start the grind next Monday again. So, but you know what? Live to work to live, and we get to do fun stuff like this then. All right. I think I've got everything there. This is an odd neck. It is not rosewood that I can see. If it is, it's been like dyed black. Um, it's certainly not ebony, especially not at the price point that I got this kit off of Temu. But I'm not sure what it is. Stuff's not puddling up, and when I did put the Howard's Feed and Wax on it to try and condition it after the tape, um, stuff did not puddle up like you would expect from some kind of engineered wood where it doesn't have pores and it wouldn't take the wax very well. But I'm going to keep moving the towel around just so I can get every little bit of stuff off of here that I may have introduced when I was doing the work on the neck here. Other than that, I think we're good until we get to the point where I am going to see. That's nice too. Now, I know I'm cribbing from Sean and Phil McKnight, but you know what? A test is a test, and it did not really pick up anything. So I feel like I did okay on my first little bit of fretwork, which I had found somewhat intimidating. But I think so long as I'm careful and I have the right tools, I don't think I'm going to do anything too bad to the neck here. So the only thing left to do then is we're going to get a little polishing compound just to take out any little swirl marks or anything that I had, and then put a little bit of wax on here to make it nice and smooth. And I'm going to do the same with the body. So that's going to be next week. And hopefully, we'll be reassembling everything next week, if not necessarily putting on the strings and setting it up, because we'll see how long that video gets. All right. All right. So just a couple final thoughts here. I'm feeling pretty confident now in more things now that I've learned more from watching my friends and also just doing my own research. This is all stuff that most people can do. But again, if you're not comfortable with it, by all means, and you have the means, definitely take stuff in for a setup or find yourself a local luthier who might be willing to do stuff. Get yourself a cheap kit like this to practice on if it's something that you want to start taking on. I wouldn't recommend that you start yourself out on a Gibson R9 or anything and risk jacking up the neck and then spending even more money to get that fixed. But, you know, if you find yourself a marketplace find, it's a great way to start learning how to do stuff. So we're going to let this sit for the week. I will see you next week when we start putting things back together. And until the next one.